afternoon. My name is Eric Simpkin, and I'm a lifelong member and resident of the Southern New Jersey community. I currently reside in Voorhees Township. So why are we here? Let me start by sharing a passage I find inspiring and a pillar of my own family's legacy. Deuteronomy 6:7. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thy home, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. What does then mean? The Word of God. And I further translate it to mean our values that we teach our children. And in my family, we add the words from generation to generation. We, as parents, are responsible and accountable to ensure that our children are raised in a way to be kind, to be giving, to be respectful. All the characteristics we would consider good. We must raise children who are in fact good. Today, we are here because during the lockdown of a pandemic, which in many people's opinions has been grossly mishandled by those who have been elected and some who have not. The 2020 New Jersey Learning Standards were written and signed into law at a time when parents, guardians, and other stakeholders in our children's education were under severe mandates and lockdowns that affected us all, including our most impressionable and vulnerable, our children. Our families are under the worst type of attack possible. An attack being perpetrated by forces only few know and understand. And those that do know and understand what has happened, especially relating to the education reform we are all witnessing firsthand, need to take an active role to educate our communities, draw a line in the sand, and hold that line. Everything we hold sacred is at stake. The sex education component we are all here to discuss is merely the tip of the iceberg. In accordance with 20 U.S.C. 1232H, the Protection of Pupil Rights Bill, which I think was from 1976, that we as parents and guardians have the right to opt our children out of sex education. We are also afforded the right to view all materials our children will be exposed to, including slides, pictures, books, and teacher training materials from our public school administrators. I urge all of you to exercise those rights by contacting your public school administrator and request a meeting to discuss and review all materials. In essence, we should not have to opt out of controversial curriculum. But parents and guardians who wish to have their children exposed to controversial curriculum should just simply have to opt into that curriculum, to those classes in a place and time that will not impact children and their families who do not wish to have such exposure. I'm speaking of the sex education and health and physical education now. But the greater issue exists in the diversity, equity, and inclusion curriculum, also mandated in the 2020 Learning Standards. Anti-racism and gender theory curriculum must be infused into all subjects, including math, science, social studies, reading, language, and arts. You cannot opt out of all subjects. We are experiencing an attack from all directions. The New Jersey Education Association, the NEA, and our local teacher unions are a huge problem. The NJEA is a political action committee which uses funds to support political candidates and is also the largest lobby for education in New Jersey. This year, they've endorsed Donald Norcross, Andy Kim, Josh Gottheimer, Frank Pallone, Tom Malinowski, Robert Menendez Jr., Bill Pasquale, Donald Payne Jr., Mickey Sherrill, Bonnie Watson-Coleman, and others for U.S. Congress. No thank you, NJEA. Just this summer alone, they held the NJEA LGBTQIA+ Issues Conference, a 4-day symposium which included workshops to help teachers of our children build more gender sexuality alliances, creating a more perfect and queer union, and how to infuse LGBTQIA curriculum into all lessons. Then they held the Teaching is Political, Advocating and Organizing Social Change 2022 Summer Collaborative. Yep, it's true. Just Google it. At this one, the workshops including teaching teachers how to teach our children to be political activists. Yes, I said teach children to be political activists. What politics? Any would be bad, but it's abundantly clear that the politics and values are vastly different than mine. How about yours? They employed the Radical Pedagogy Institute. No, that's not a mistake. Radical. It means the method of teaching. Radical method of teaching. They teach that math is racist. Yes, they do. They teach that math is racist because non-binary gender people do not think binary, and therefore forcing to teach math as we know it is in fact racist. Look it up on the Radical Pedagogy Institute. They also spearheaded the anti-racism curriculum and training, which is the New Jersey term for CRT, by the way, anti-racism curriculum. These people have no right to do this. They're not elected, they're not appointed, yet they are dictating what and how our children are educated. My answer is simple. It must stop. We must stand together, unified by the common ground that parents know what is best for their children. For all these reasons, and for all of our children, I am proud to stand here today as a candidate for the Voorhees Township Board of Education, along with my incredible running mates, Tara Edel, Deborah Owens, and Kelly Barsney. We must win. We need your support, and we will prove that new leadership is the answer. We are all leaders who can impartially ensure the Voorhees Township Public School District is well run. And please join me when I say, we do not co-parent with the government. This is a fight we cannot lose. Godspeed, my friend. Godspeed.